Morning, how are we doing? Morning, Stevie. Morning, Gelmond. I need to get some risk on. Look, hardly got anything on. Apart this stupid Aussie New Zealand that won't go anywhere. Never mind, won't talk to him. How's everybody doing this morning? FOMC day. Big day today. We've got non-farm employment at 12:15, just ahead of the New York Open, and then obviously FOMC this evening at 6 o'clock, and the fund rate going up to 4%. Morning, Themba. So yeah, big one. We've also got press conference at 6:30. Sometimes we do get press conferences, sometimes we don't. Press conferences are also very volatile, so volatility from 6 o'clock till 7 o'clock tonight, and then we got all speaking later. But FOMC is obviously the main one today. So one of two things. On FOMC days, we either get range bound all day, big push, move down and just stay around, or we get big reaches for liquidity ahead of FOMC, which they then reverse. So we'll wait and see what happens. Obviously, you never know until it gets started. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, big one today, FOMC again. And then tomorrow we've got the UK rates at 3 o'clock. So, sorry, at 12 o'clock. So, yeah, another big one tomorrow as well. And then obviously non-farm on Friday. So it's big old news week. Big old news week. No news overnight. Nothing exciting anyway that I could see. Usual Bank of Japan stuff saying they'll do something, but they won't. We have the Aussie figures for housing. Not a lot else, really. We had the New Zealand news last night as well. Nothing much happened after that. We had the unemployment rate. We had unemployment was negative. Employment change was positive, quite substantially positive, but didn't do anything. So nothing there. So New Zealand dollar, Aussie New Zealand, which is what I'm in at the moment. From a New Zealand perspective, has not gone anywhere. So yesterday I had a New Zealand dollar, an Aussie New Zealand not aggressive position. I just took another position, basically, quite close to that one to kind of turn it into an aggressive position. To see if we could just get that move started, which got stopped out, and then it sort of pushed back down and pushed back up again very hard. So I took another one there as we got that reversal alert, because that was a very clear bullish move, but it didn't go anywhere. It just petered out, and we're basically there. So I've got a little stop under there, but yeah, not going anywhere, this thing, is it? It's just not going anywhere. It's just a gradual at the moment decline day by day. We're just losing a little bit day by day, but no real movement in any direction. A few scalps on the DAX. The only trade I took yesterday on the DAX was that one from yesterday, which was a lovely little trade yesterday morning. Just that one there. So after we had the big push up in the morning, I got out up there. That was it. Got out of the highs, and then completely tanked. Didn't get the gap fill yesterday though. So interesting to see what happens this morning. We've got another gap this morning on the DAX. So I'm getting ready for an opening range breakout this morning to see where we go. Difficult to call this morning with the DAX. So if we look at it on a daily, we've obviously had a big old rally. We've got some news, some more earnings today, but the earnings are they're kind of petering out. They're big companies, but they're they're not the big ones that get us those big days. So I think today we're going to get some volatility, but which way it's going to go, very difficult to tell. So I think I'm getting ready to get in short for a position, basically where we are at the moment. So looking at the DAX, obviously when we get above the 72 in a bear trend, this is where we tend to start the next leg. So I've got a slight short bias this morning, but you know, just have to wait and see what happens at the open, which we've got 3 minutes to go. So, so indices obviously extended to the upside, looking for some kind of drop to start on those. Nasdaq yesterday, we had a big down day on the Nas. S&P down day, and obviously on the Dow, same thing. So it's we're just retesting an old reversal alert. Look at that, a long way away. But we are just retesting there. So, you know, this is where I'm expecting to start our next leg down. So we've got this big old candle here, which was that big up day. Until we break out of that in any direction, we are obviously range bound at the minute. So we've got that control candle. So that level there is very important, whichever index you're looking at. This low here is going to be the key level. So it's 11,018 on the Nas, 3768 on the S&P, and all the way down at 31,860. So that's where I'm looking to test. A little bit different on the on the DAX, but same thing. We've actually broken out the DAX. We didn't actually, did we? Thinking about it, didn't. Oh, look at that! It's right on the line. Difficult. Yeah, I mean, we kind of broke out, but we haven't really gone higher, have we? So this candle here, so we kind of closed exactly on the high of that candle. So today I'm looking for us to get brought back inside this range on the DAX, and obviously we've got this gap fill to complete here. There's a lot of arguments for a downside movement today, so we'll see. That's the plan. Morning emit. So just waiting for the open. 50 seconds. ADRs, nothing. Weeklies, nothing so far. It's FOMC day, basically. So we're either going to get that sideways movement today, where we just sit around and don't do anything, or we'll get some decent volatility. But you do tend to find ahead of FOMC, a lot of people will exit their positions. So you've got obviously a lot of funds with speculative positions on, and you find ahead of FOMC, they want to get as flat as they can in case there's a shock. So you don't want to have a massive long portfolio and then FOMC tanks it. So you tend to find, and this is kind of what I think we saw yesterday, a lot of people exiting their positions ahead of FOMC. Morning, Jane. Right, we're just off. We're off. So we'll see where we go at the open. If we can get a push up at the open into here, that'd be a lovely short spot. We'll see where we go. Diamond, I'd be thinking about DAX testing yesterday's high or the peak high from 13th September. Yeah, we've got that level there. And obviously yesterday's high. So we'll see. Could do. Certainly possible. It's within ADR to get up there today, isn't it? So it's reachable. I mean, the trouble is we've had such a bull run with the earnings. I get the feeling we're going to get the collapse, and it's going to start fast, and it's going to be hard, and it's going to just go. So this is where I'd love to see them sit somewhere up here. Maybe even test yesterday's high, but I mean this propulsion gap here, you can see where the selling started yesterday. Obviously we sold off very hard in New York, and we didn't stop, and we gradually sort of pull back, but this is where we started that sell cycle. We can see here, we obviously had that massive buying rally start. They defended that. They tried to defend it when we got back in there, and the sellers just bombarded them. So there is a lot more selling pressure. Yesterday, they got themselves where they wanted to be. If you think about it from a bank's perspective or an institution's perspective, they started selling here. Yeah. So they're short here. End of the day, they're in profit on their short positions. They're going to want to defend this. Yeah, they're trying to get the market short. They've gone short. They haven't had to defend that position yet. If we get up into there, these guys that are short here in profit are going to want to make that move happen. So I'm looking for breakout shorts today, but I don't know. We'll see. Go where the price takes us. Hello, Matrix World. Hello, Sizwe. Dow's pushing up on the open. Dow's just made new highs. S&P's made new highs. Sorry, yeah, no, that's right. And DAX is not making new highs, so at the moment, opening range is around about 300. Just going to do this as a small position. This is the trade that I'm taking on the funded account, so I'm just going to replicate it in here with a small trade. Themba, I'm confused why the market opening an hour later. They used to open at 9. The clocks have changed. Themba. It'll all change back. Well, no, the clocks have changed basically, so you need to adjust yourself now to this new time, unless your clocks change wherever you are. In South Africa, and if you change your clocks, we change clocks for daylight savings time in the UK. In America, are changing on Monday. So you'll find that New York will be an hour different next week for you. For us, it goes back to normal. Any views on current price action for Euro US dollar? Very low liquidity this morning. Not low volatility, rather. Any views for current price action on Euro US dollar? Can't answer that question. How long are you holding for? 2 seconds, 2 minutes, 2 years? Time frame. What are you looking at? How long are you holding it for? Do you want to be in and out today? Do you want to be in and out this morning? Do you want to be in and out this month? Hoping for a strong US dollar on the FOMC. Yeah, me too. I'd like to see the US dollar push this afternoon. What we're finding though at the moment, okay, so I'm just going to straddle that. So we look at it 3. Yeah, so I mean, the thing with the US dollar and the rates, FOMC is a little bit different to most other rate announcements. So what we tend to see on rate announcements is they're obviously forecast and the market factors them in. So Aussie dollar is a prime example. We moved bearishly and we got there and nothing much happened. The pound, nothing much happened on the last one. The euro, same thing. When it comes out as expected, you don't tend to get a massive amount of movement because the market is already factored in that rate announcement. It's only if they actually change the rate and do something different, the market then has to restructure itself. So if we are expecting them to go to 4%, we've been dropping nicely on the way to 4%. If they come out at 4%, we'll probably flatline and then we'll push up again because that's going to be good and hopefully start to quash inflation a little bit. If they come out at 3.25 again, for example, it's going to go nuts. I haven't got a clue which direction it's going to go nuts in because it all depends on where everybody's positioned at the time and what they need to do with it. But It's mainly this, the FOMC statement and the press conference, which is going to really make the difference, because this is where they're going to announce forward monetary policy. So this is what the market is looking at. Is like, yeah, if you come out at 4%, we're expecting you to do that. We've already moved the price to where we expect it to be and made our money out of it. What are you doing next? Nobody cares about what's happened in the past or what's happening right now with something as expected. What they're interested in is, where the hell are we going next? Because you can't make money unless you know where you're meant to be going. So that's what's going to be the interesting factor. US dollar is obviously the strongest currency out there. So I would expect it to continue to do exactly what it's doing at the moment, which is rallying. So yeah, continuation moves on the US dollar to the upside. Hence, obviously, things like euro US dollar, that person was just asking about, is a massive bear run. Same thing, just carry on going. US dollar should beat everything. It's the world's currency, more transactions conducted in the US dollar than any other currency in the world. It's going to remain strong. There's more people, more participants want to keep the US dollar strong from a transactional perspective than any other currency. So that's why it always tends to win out in hard times against everything else, unless something fundamentally changes on something like the euro, for example. We're teasing this break of the low at the minute. So we have just tapped outside the opening range low, but we haven't gone anywhere. So first stop obviously is gap fill. There's not a lot of volume this morning. I think we're going to have a quiet day today by the looks of things at the minute. We'll see. Could all come to life in a minute. Sizwi, I can't say your name. How do you tell if the times have changed? How do you tell if the times have changed? Look at the calendar. Yeah. If you're not looking at this thing every single morning, you shouldn't be anywhere near a buy or a sell button. Yeah, Monday, all changes. It's a holiday in Japan tomorrow. You need to know all of this stuff. If you don't know all of this stuff, how are you going to know what's going to move in the market? Very, very important. And your broker's obviously emailed you about it. My inbox when the clocks change. Yeah, I've over my 13 years or whatever, I've got brokerage accounts with pretty much every broker. Every month, on the last day of the month, I get about 30 emails with my live account statements. They're all dormant, most of them, but I get 30 emails telling me that I've got no money in my trading accounts. They're all dormant. Your broker sends me emails constantly every time the clocks change. This should just be on your radar, really. M30 time frame is what you're looking at. Okay, I've never looked at M30. Don't use it. So M30 at the moment. If it breaks the highs, go long. If it breaks the lows, go short. I guess. I don't know. Don't really trade M30. I can't. I think what you need to do first of all, Sizwi, is go watch the Bootcamp, learn about how I trade, learn about market structure, and then come back. I don't really have. It's impossible to answer a question about anything unless I know what your strategy is. If you have one, but I'd be looking for a reversal out to the upside, for a structure break to the upside. But I've got a bearish euro stance, so I'd look to sell up there. I wouldn't take any trade on it at the minute. It's just going sideways. Difficult to answer that one. But yeah, euro US dollar is a short. Never press the buy button on that thing unless you're getting out within the day. It's somewhere down here, for example. It's a short. Do you live in a part of the world where the clocks don't change? Yeah, I guess there are. I was just thinking that South Africa. I guess if you're in a part of, because the only reason we change the clocks in the UK and the US and Europe is because of it's daylight savings time. It's to help with daylight, isn't it? If you're in South Africa and you're more equatorially based in the world, I guess there's probably not a lot of difference in summer and winter as to light, is there? So I guess maybe you wouldn't change your clocks. I never even thought about it because it's just something we do in the UK, in Europe, and we've always done it. I don't know. Never even crossed my mind. But yeah, I mean, this you got to be on here every day, so and it tells you daylight saving shift. If you want to know about it, it's just what happens in our funny part of the world. Although there is talk of them stopping doing it, isn't there? Because it's just pointless. It just annoys everybody. I think the reason the reason we used to do it was because it was for the people that worked in the mornings, like the milkman, the postman, and the street lighters back in the old Victorian times. It's to help them, but I don't know. I've never really looked into the history of why we change our clocks. Funnily enough, I'm tempted to take a short on the DAX. I'm going to wait for the breakout. Got some decent. Obviously, we've opened bearish. We continued bearish. We just tried to push, wait for this candle to close, but it looks like the sellers are in control this morning. So I don't want to jump in too early. Let's just see what the other indices are up to. So we're inside bar on the NAS, inside bar on the S&P, inside bar on the Dow. Wonder where else. Does anybody else live in some part of the world where the clocks don't change? I just assumed everybody did it, but obviously it doesn't make sense that everybody would do it, would it? Let me know. Interested to know. Because it is something that causes massive confusions in Forex trading. Because all your brokers all got different times and then they change their clocks. Like my EA funded account this morning, it's now 11 o'clock in the morning. The DAX opens. It used to be 10. But other brokers, like this one, like Robo Forex, it's still 10. Yeah. So this broker hasn't changed the actual broker time on the charts, whereas EA has changed the broker time on the charts. This causes utter confusion. I just wish we'd stop doing it. This drives everybody nuts. US indices are really indecisive this morning as well. We're just running on inside bars at the minute. Am I going short? Am I going short? Am I going short? Think about it. Yeah. Okay, short on the DAX. Could be one of those whippies today where we just go like that all morning. I'll have 2 attempts at an opening range breakout this morning, and if it doesn't work, that'll be it. As I say, I do like it short this morning. Multiple reasons. Gap fill reasons specifically. And the fact that we are just absolutely exhausted. 4 hour, we need a rest. Daily, we need a new leg. It's got to start somewhere, the move. Right, so while we're waiting for this to decide if it's actually going to bother to do anything this morning, there's nothing on ADR, nothing on the weekly ranges, nothing on the monthlies, all flat at the moment. 4 hours, my good old friend Aussie New Zealand is still massively extended. On the daily, this is 4 hour we're embedded below the 20 now. So we are very, very, very exhausted. I'm getting, as you can see, I'm getting to aggressive point with this now. In fact, on the 4 hour, I'm just going to put that another one there. On the 4 hour, basically, if we get this move started, I think we've got a really good chance of coming back up into here today. I want to get my average down, not today necessarily, it's 175 ADR, so I'd be unlikely to hit that considering it's an Asian pair during the London or the New York session, but I think we're likely to start a move from here because we are very, very, very embedded down here. So just looking, depending on obviously what is going to happen with the Aussie and the New Zealand moving forward, either looking for just a pullback in the continuation or looking for market structure to shift. We've got to break that, which is days away. You know, this is not going to happen overnight. This is going to be a long-term hold, unfortunately, unless I can get some decent size on and get out fast. But yeah, looking for that very, very nicely extended. Looking for that to move to the upside. Euro New Zealand is very extended as well. New Zealand strength. Obviously, the Euros are short. It's a difficult one to call, isn't it? We're coming back down into some very nice peaks down here, which is where we're likely to react from. Nice area of previous balance. So there's a good chance that we're going to get a push from here. It is extended on the 4 hour, not very extended. But if you wanted to trade, play a pullback on this, at the moment you are with trend, but I see that trend shifting very much in the way that Aussie New Zealand has shifted. Yeah. So it's difficult to say whether this is trend or counter trend at the moment, because obviously it depends on your point of view. It's not particularly trendy, obviously, at the moment. And if you're taking a trade from here, you're taking a trade from the middle of the current range. So it's a difficult one to call whether we're long or short. I'm personally a little bit more short bias than long bias on the euro, but the New Zealand isn't the strongest thing out there. So it's probably not the best one to actually trade against the euro at the minute. So it's a tricky one, but it is extended. Yeah, we've had a very, very, very good, strong, prolonged push to the downside. We had one little profit take in the middle of it, likely to come back up and retest that propulsion gap at some point. So potential long opportunity on that one there. And New Zealand dollar Swiss. Off to the moon. Got weak Swiss franc at the minute, and New Zealand dollar's doing very, very well. So again, very nice orderly push. We're embedded and extended on the 4 hour. We will get that profit take move starting at some point. Just going to break out to the upside now on the DAX. I've got a feeling this is just going to whip me out today. Yeah. Okay, broken out to the upside. What the hell? Why did that stop? So I just took a break out to the upside, and for some reason it closed my position. Why did it close my position out? What? Wait, one sec. Target exit 8%. Weird. Okay. Don't know why that happened. So on my funded account, I got exactly the same trades straddling. Took that breakout, and it just closed it with 0.01% profit. I don't know why. Never mind. I'll look into that later. Okay, so going for the breakout to the upside on the DAX. Downside failed. So obviously we got the 13,441 level as the initial upside. Second upside is ADR 13,561, long way away. So we'll see if we can get up there. Yesterday's high obviously looks like the initial target. However, this is kind of where I can see the sellers starting to step in. So it's a really tricky one this morning. I'm buying basically into what I would class as resistance here. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Stevie, talking about the daylight savings time. It's because the USA don't change at the same as the UK and Europe. Depends on where the broker is in the world. Yeah, this, I just think we need to stop it now. We're grown up enough as a civilization. We don't need to muck about with our clocks. Just accept the fact that sometimes it's a little bit darker in the mornings and the evenings than it is in the summer. Simple. Why do we have to be so silly about it? Anyway, USA change. There's this weekend, then everything's back to normal. Yeah, that's why I don't bother changing. You know, like the inputs on here, you know, for the times for the session times indicator. I just don't bother changing it. It's only a week, and to be honest, I don't really use the session times indicator much anyway. I like what I like to see is the Asian range. That's the main thing I like about it. I like seeing the Asian range, but the actual coloured blocks, I just can't be bothered. Don't really change it. So, right. So we've got breakout to the upside. We'll monitor that and see how that goes. So 4 hours I've covered. Hourlies, we've only got Euro New Zealand. Again, hourly extension. So nicely extended down there. Obviously, I'll be looking for shorts on this. So push up into ADR, into that propulsion gap for a short. Take a reversal up there somewhere on M5. And on the 14 RSIs, the Euro New Zealand obviously is there as well, and the Euro Yen. So this is down and extended, but again, excluding the intervention, we're just down at the bottom of the range at the moment. So we could well find ourselves getting a little bit of a bullish move here. But again, nothing from the yen, nothing from the Japanese about what the hell they're doing with all this intervention. Yeah, just keep intervening and doing nothing about it. And all we're getting is just nothing. It's just an utter waste of time, the yen at the minute. Can't trade it. I have no bias whatsoever on it. And they change their mind every time the wind blows in a different direction. So yes, we're going to intervene. Oh no, we're not. Yes, we are. Oh no, we're not. Make your mind up. It's obviously a lot clearer on the US dollar yen. Every intervention. Nope. And so far, I have to give it to them, mainly because there's been a weak US dollar. The yen is actually holding up against the US, but this is only because there's a weak US dollar. FOMC this evening, we could see this coming all the way back up there, which again will give the Japanese another reason to intervene, won't it? So we will see. Breakout to the upside is looking like it's working. 13,417 is where we need to be watching. Or 441, depending on who your broker is. Sorry, I was looking at a different level. Yeah, 415. What the hell? Oh no, sorry. I got my E8 funded account running on a monitor, which is to the right of me, which is on it's one of those monitors on its side in vertical mode. So my charts are all squished up. 13,441, yeah. So that's target. Initial target. And then we'll see if we can break that. And then that next level up is going to be the old one from September, which is 13,560 roughly. Just put that on the chart. somewhere around there. Second target. Right. Has anybody got anything they want to look at specifically this morning, position-wise? I haven't got a lot of exposure on at the minute. So the only thing I've really got on at the moment is the US dollar CAD, which is that first position I started yesterday, which pushed up nicely, but obviously hasn't gone anywhere as of yet. And the Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar. I'm waiting, obviously, for some decent extensions on RSI, which we're not getting at the moment. And obviously, because it's FOMC week and we've got so many rate announcements, I don't necessarily think we're going to get an awful lot. So I haven't really got too many opportunities to get into anything this week. So I think what I'll do is I'll probably just run through all the pairs and we'll just look for some areas to maybe try and get some positions started. But obviously, everything you do this week from a position trading perspective is going to be difficult because obviously this is happening this evening, that is happening tomorrow, and then that is happening on Friday. So, typically we'd be looking for sort of midweek reversals on FOMC. We've got that, which I don't think there'll be a massive movement and repositioning on that until we know what's happening with this. And then this is where I think the next move will start on Friday, because we'll have all the rates out of the way, and then we can actually start to go and start to get some movement in a direction or another. So we'll see what happens. But anything we look at today, really, if you're going to start any positions today, you've just got to be aware that they could all be completely wiped out and gone the other way tomorrow because of FOMC this evening. So it's a bit of a pinch of salt sort of scenario at the moment. But looking at the Aussies, I did kind of run down on everything yesterday, but we haven't really got anywhere, so it's probably going to be fairly quick this morning. But in a range, Aussie CAD at the moment, looking for downside opportunities. So any extensions, ADR, we're looking to get in up the top there. So any hourly extensions, looking for moves to the downside. Aussie dollar Swiss, same thing, looking for shorts at the moment, looking for some Swiss franc strength to come through. So you had an opportunity there on the hourly. But, so it's not really gone anywhere, is it? We're just sitting there. This is a nice wick off potentially here. So what we'll be looking for today is some kind of hold down here and then a break to the downside. So pushed up, pushed up, pushed up. Everybody's entered short. Everybody's entered short. Liquidity's there. Liquidity's been run. Stopped, pulled it back down. Bang. So everybody that's gone long, because we broke out, so all the breakout traders have gone long, their liquidity's sitting there. So next stop is here. Take the liquidity of everybody. All done. And then they can move. So Aussie dollar Swiss looks good for a short. Aussie dollar yen, no idea. Just give a skip. Anything with the yen in it, don't know. Flip a coin. You know as much as I do about what's going on with the yen. I think you and I probably know as much as the Japanese government and the Japanese bank as to what's going on with the yen. It's just in a mess. So I haven't got any close on the yen. I'm not trading it at the minute. Aussie New Zealand, the bane of my life at the minute. Looks like we're just taking out yesterday's low. So we'll see if we get a reaction out of yesterday's low. Probably going to stop out on this one, which is that position there. Yeah, just can't get any traction at all this at the minute. New Zealand dollar's been very, very strong. If you ever look at all the New Zealand pairs, you can see obviously we're having a bit of a rally on the New Zealand at the moment against everything. And if you look at all the Aussie pairs, they're all going sideways. So obviously Aussie New Zealand is coming down because we've got a strong New Zealand dollar and a sideways Aussie dollar, which gives New Zealand the advantage. So at the minute, we are still coming down. 52% of firms expect businesses to worsen in the next 12 months. Really? A lot of this news makes me laugh. It's just literally stating the bleeding obvious, isn't it? We're entering a recession. Business is going to get worse. No. So yeah, Aussie New Zealand. I'll spend a bit more time on this one because I'm in it. I cleaned my charts up yesterday. We got this support here. We got the bounce yesterday. Well, not yesterday. It was the day before, wasn't it? Down here. Was it yesterday? Yeah, it was yesterday. So we got the bounce yesterday. We put in an outside bar. So a little bit of bullish price action starting down at this level. We haven't really got necessarily the reaction we wanted from there. Next stop, there's multiple places that we could be stopping on the way back down here. This is the most obvious support level, which is 225 ADR away, which, looking at this pair and how nice and orderly and organized it normally is, for it to get all the way down here in one run is a hell of an achievement. I don't think it's going to be able to do it. Oh, DAX is going to kill me this morning. But it's just putting back into the range at the moment. I'm going to wish I'd have taken my initial advice on the DAX and waited for it to come back up into here for a short, which is what I initially said this morning. We'll see what happens. So basically where we are right now, this new propulsion gap we've had formed, we're either going to get the buyers buy this up and we're actually going to rally through, or the sellers are adding to their positions to take us short to come and get these gap fills done. I'm kind of trying to play a little bit of a swing this morning rather than scalping, because I'm trying to get a short position started if I can, but we'll see. Just monitor that for the minute. So yeah, Aussie dollar New Zealand, that's the main support we've got coming up. There's multiple places on the way down that have been resistive in the past as well. We've got a level there. We've got that peak there as well, potentially. So any of these can act as a support on the way down. We know that price reacts at previous levels. We never know where it's going to be turning, do we? So we've got levels coming up. We've got one within ADR today. The rest are like a good couple of ADR away. So when we break, saying when, I'm assuming we are going to break down today. We are just taking yesterday's low out. We might, might get a nice little reversal up this morning. We'll see. But if we do break down, I think we got a little bit of a drop ahead of us. So I will wait until we get down to one of these levels and start an aggressive position there. And if failing that, I will start an aggressive position there. All the time, the EA will just keep scaling in for me as we're going. But I'm well out of the money on this already. So I don't really want to start taking losses this early on in the month, especially after having a 33% month last month. I don't want to start off with a negative, but equally 5% drawdown at the moment is getting too much. So we will see what happens with this one, but it's very tricky. This is just fallen so much faster and harder than I was expecting it to. But haven't seen a move like this on this pair for a long time at all. So last time we had a move akin to this was on that Aussie push. So this is what we're waiting for. This is why I'm trying to get in aggressively to get my average to this sort of area. I'm looking literally for a 50% retracement on the move. Yeah, so I want to make sure I'm getting in with enough lot size to get this average down. I need to get on top of this one because it's getting away a little bit. Aussie US shorts, looking for short opportunities on this one. Again, hourly. The only entry we've had is here, which worked out very, very nicely, but no other opportunities on that. CAD Swiss, again, CAD Swiss is a tricky one still. I don't know what's going on with this one. Swiss francs week, we get these pushes on the Swissy like we had yesterday, where it's lovely. The Swissy just wakes up and it bang knocks everything for 6. At the moment, we're kind of in this super long flag. which is just gradually, market structure on this is, I'm going to break out of that symmetrical triangle. Nice. So potentially we could continue like that. And I suspect that's probably what will happen off the back of oil, because we've still got another $10, $15 a barrel to go on oil before Christmas. So I get the feeling we will continue to see upside on this. But it's such a tight little trading range at the moment as it's going up. It's not really giving too many opportunities to get into it. So I haven't got a bias on this particularly at the moment. So it's not one really on my radar. It was a very nice short after the Swiss franc powered up. Yeah, and it pushed down to new lows, and it pushed down to new lows again. I get the feeling we might well do the same thing at some point. But I get the feeling also we've got strength coming on the CAD. So it's a very difficult one to read at the minute. Short term, obviously, if you want to get into it short term, you can pretty much take any extension you like. It's very orderly. Like I say, it's one of those lovely at the moment orderly pairs where, every push has got a lovely pullback to it. Yeah, it's nice and easy to trade, but you just kind of want to be out of it fairly fast. But, anything else you see that used to be like that? This is a prime example of, this used to be very much like that, didn't it? Aussie New Zealand, it was just push pull, push pull, push pull, and then we had this big rally, and then we've had this massive collapse. So the volatility's just got much bigger on it. Looks like that's pulling off the lows. Yeah, so we've just taken liquidity at yesterday's low. So like me, everybody that went long on that move yesterday has put their stops there. If you're one of those people that puts your stops just under the low, you're dead. So fingers crossed, we might get that move. Yeah, so CAD Swiss, difficult one. Can't really call a direction on it. DAX, I hate you. Why don't I stick with my initial plan? I'm going to try one more. One more out the low, I think. We'll wait and see if this holds. If this low holds. So if we're going to put in bullish market structure this morning, I'd expect a move from here. If this is going to hold this morning, obviously we're just going to crash the lows. In which case, do I want to get in short again? I said I'd only take 2 trades on this morning. It's just really annoying to see my initial idea playing out to the pip. What I'm worried about this morning is because it's FOMC, I'm worried about that kind of price action. In which case, days like this, you literally just get cut to pieces and stopped out continuously. So see what happens next candle. Next candle is going to be quite key. If we get an inside bar or a bullish engulfing on this candle, I'd be inclined to say we might be looking at bullish market structure, but I'm not sure. CAD Swiss, I don't know. It's one of those tricky ones at the minute. So it's a kind of long and it's a kind of short. So I'm kind of staying out. All the yens, don't know yens at all. Euros, I like them all as shorts at the minute. So I think the euro is starting to roll over. It's just we need some strength on some of these other currencies. Odd. I mean, if you look at this, you know how weak the Australian dollar's been at the moment. The euro is even coming down against that weak Australian dollar. So it shows you how weak the euro is starting to become. And it looks like it might roll over here. Nice market structure break on the 4 hour. So we've got the reverse alert and the retest on the 4 hour. So it looks good for shorts, Euro CAD. And again, if we're expecting Canadian dollar strength to come off the back of oil and be dragged along with the US dollar, continuation short. on that one. So looking for shorts anytime we get extended on the hourlies. You wouldn't have taken that one because that was the rate announcement. Well, you could have done. You've been very brave. Euro Swiss. This is the one I got out of this week, which was causing me all sorts of pain. So yeah, that has started to roll over very nicely now. We just put a new low in yesterday. So structure has shifted back to the downside. So looking for that to start to roll over as well. Euro pound, no idea, sideways flat. That will get back down to about 40 ADR again, 40, 50 ADR. So it's just not worth trading. It's rubbish. Euro yen, no idea. Euro New Zealand, that started pushing over again. New Zealand dollar, obviously, we've got some strength coming through. It's in a key point. If we're going to continue in our bullish nature with the euro, we're going to need the New Zealand dollar to weaken. And the fact it's just had, it seems to be getting good news after good news after good news at the moment, doesn't it, the New Zealand dollar? So especially against the euro, I like this one as a short. So I'd be looking for pullbacks maybe up into that propulsion gap. Any ADR hits to the upside, I'd be looking to take shorts on these. So I'm going to set the EA up, I think, this morning with all these euro pairs to start looking for short opportunity. Not all the euro pairs, obviously, because I'll be well overexposed. But I'm going to set the EA up this morning to try and look for some of these shorts. So Euro Swiss, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off the higher time frame filter for the moment and just look for 1 hour extensions on the RSI. And just look for shorts on that. Shorts on the Euro Swiss. I turned it off obviously because I just got out of the position, out of that trade. And Euro US dollar, I've already got that set up, and I'm just going to take off the higher time frame MA. For the minute. So that can start getting into shorts as well. So Euro Swiss, I'm going to start, now we've got this structure break on the 4 hour. I'm going to start trying to get into some more positions on that one. And Euro pound, Euro yen, Euro New Zealand, again, look for some kind of pullbacks and shorts, I think, on that one now. You can take a counter trend here. I say counter trend. It's not counter trend right now, is it? It's with trend, but I would say we're starting to roll over on this. And Euro US dollar obviously is shorts anyway. So any kind of upside pushes, I'm looking to short that. So market structure on this one, obviously we've shifted to the upside. So this area here is going to be quite key. And this is timed very nicely with FOMC, isn't it? So we're going to find out this afternoon, this evening, what's happening with the Fed and what the market thinks of the new rate. And then we're going to see if we're going to get some continuation weakness on the US dollar or whether we're going to power up. So I suspect we're just going to carry on with this, and we're just peaking above 72 as we have done in the past before continuing that move to the downside. But obviously everything is entering into recession, don't forget. So it's not guaranteed we're going to get a strong US dollar, but it's likely to be the strongest long term against everything else. So I still like that one short. Pound odd, again, can't really make any decisions on the pound until Thursday. We need to see what they do with the rates, and we need to see what the forecast is moving forward. Are we going to continue to rise with our rates? Inflation is getting out of control. This morning we had, it's not on here in orange, it's in yellow. I think it was this morning we had the figures. The shop price index. It's not a key reporting one, but it's a little bit like CPI. It's the cost of food, basically, gone up again. You know, we are noticing in the UK, and my wife said it as well. You know, in the shops the other day, there's something that's gone up by 20p from last week. Doesn't sound like a lot, but you put everything up by 20p, all of a sudden you know, your shopping's 15-20% more expensive week on week. It's getting to the point now where we're starting to notice you're going into the supermarket and you're like, Jesus Christ, really, 180 quid? And it's like, wow. And this has been confirmed again this morning. So we are well behind the curve with inflation in the UK. So this move to go up to 3%, I think, is pretty much a given. That's really going to hurt housing prices. Housing prices have stalled. I've just stopped out on the DAX. Housing prices have stalled. And this is going to obviously affect mortgage rates dramatically. So we're going to start to see a downturn in housing prices, which is the first signs of a recession starting to kick in. When the housing market starts to slow because interest rates have gone up too high, that's when everything starts to spiral. So it's all getting to the point now. We really need to know from Bailey what long-term plans are in place. And we're finding out on the 17th, the budget as to how we're going to pay for all of these long-term plans. So everything pound at the minute, if you're going to get into anything on the pound this week, you can see obviously what we're waiting for. You're getting in on a completely speculative. If you want to go long, go long. If you want to go short, go short. Just make sure you've got a stop in place, because if this thing goes the other way against you, you could be squeezed for weeks. So I'm not going to take any pound positions at the moment. Pound US dollar is the only thing I've got. Yeah, I've got pound US dollar turned off, so the EA is not running on that. Yeah, scalping short pound, anything pound. Mitch just said scalping short pound US dollar. Anything pound, scalp it. You know, as I said, it's a beautiful range. There's lots of tight ranges going on in the pound. You've got a wider range there. You've got a tighter range here. So, you know, there's lots of opportunities for scalping. If we got down to ADR today, I'd be interested in taking a pound odd scalp long, but I'm not going to take it without a stop, and I want to be out of it. Why didn't I listen to myself? That was the trade. The first thing I said this morning, wasn't it? What I want to see is them pull up into here and sellers start to defend that area. What have they done? What did I do? Tried to go short, tried to go long. I'm going to do it. I'm taking one more. I'm going to be brave. Gap fill. Second gap fill. It's my fault for putting the idea of yesterday's high in your head. It's not your fault. I would have been saying exactly the same thing as you. You just beat me to it. Yeah, it's the first thing to do, isn't it? Whenever I'm looking to get into a trade, the first thing you need to know is, if you're going to get in, where's it going? Yeah, I'm going short because we're going to come down and test yesterday's New York low, yesterday's low, or we're going to fill the gap. Yeah. So I've said it many, many times before. You can't take a trade unless you know where it's going, because otherwise you're just hitting the buy and the sell button and hoping, aren't you? We're always doing that. That's what we do. We don't know where it's going. No one knows where it's going. Otherwise, we will be billionaires, wouldn't we? But you need to have an idea of where you're headed. So if this opening range breakout, so if this was a fake out, sellers adding to orders, what I'm looking to see here is a pullback into here and then continuation short. If that doesn't happen, I'm out. I'm taking 0.5% risk this morning on the funded account. I'm not taking anything big this morning because I've just got in the back of my head, like I just said, we're going to do this today because it's FOMC. No one's going to want to take long positions. However, ahead of FOMC, you will get these flushes. where is people exiting their positions because they don't want to hold long on stocks ahead of FOMC. So there's so much more going for a short position on the indices today than there is for a long. But you just the danger with any type of bias is it blinkers you, and you have to switch. You have to learn to switch, and this is the hardest part with scalping, which is why I hate scalping, because it's so much more demanding on your brain, and there's so much more to think about. But you've got to refocus. If you have a bias in one direction on it, and the market is screaming the opposite to you, you have to go, right, I'm wrong, and flick. And then, but the problem with it is every time you do that, the back of your head is screaming at you, remember that bias, and it's trying to tell you to go the other way. But you have to do what price action is telling you. And that's why market structure is so important. Yeah. You can't ignore that move. It's a big move. Yeah. You can't ignore the gap. We know that is going to get, I would almost put my mortgage on that being filled within 48 hours. Let's have a look at this on Friday. Hopefully I won't be homeless, but that's going to be filled by Friday. Yeah. But the trouble is, on the way to filling that, it can do that. Yeah, it can do all sorts. It can do whatever the hell it likes. But at some point, we're going to go like that. We're going to have a session where we just go bang, done, dusted. Right, now where we're going. And it's whether or not you are on it when it happens and you can hold it. That's the hardest part. Like that trade I took yesterday. Yeah. My bias yesterday was short. But remember what analysis I did yesterday. If you go back and watch the live room, I did an analysis on what happens when we have a gap up day. Oops, wrong one. Yeah, and I went back through the chart, didn't I? And I said, look, what happens when we have these big gaps formed? Yeah, most of the time we push hard. Yeah, what did we do yesterday? We pushed hard. Yeah, so we got that move. So that was the reason for that trade yesterday, was because we know that when we gap up big, we push. And that said to me, that's what we're going to do. So that's what I did. That was the idea, and it worked. Today's idea is that. Yeah, you just don't know. But you just got to shift your bias with what price action tells you. If yesterday it had done an opening range breakout and hold to the low, pushed up and then come down and made a new low, I'd have gone short on it. Regardless of what I think is going to happen, you follow the price action. The price action tells you where the market's going. Yeah. But you have to be aware of what the market is up to as well. Big participants are short at the moment. We know that. Why? Because we put in a whacking great move to the downside. The buyers yesterday couldn't hold it. Sellers took control and held price. We're short. We are, as in the market is short. So you just got to, and there's something to be said for not going into a day with a bias as well. So just look at it and go, I haven't got a clue. But you've got to know where it's going. You've got to think, right, if we are going short, where are we going short? You've got to have that. You've got to have a target in your brain. And that helps you get in and out. So if this pushes down and then it starts to pull back, I might exit here with X%, and then I'll get in short again. But I will keep going short until we get to where I think we're going. So my bias will be continuously short all morning if this does start to play out. But that was my initial bias. But this is trading. This is what it's all about. What's happened here tells you something that is helpful, but it's only helpful if it works. If it doesn't work, you have to think, right, what's happening next? Your job is to forecast where we're going based on where we've been, not anything else. So, looks to me like the sellers are in control. We don't know that yet, do we? Till we break that low, we don't know if the sellers are in control. At the moment, all we're doing is nothing. We've gone nowhere, have we? So we need some confirmation. Every time you shift bias, you're likely taking a loss too. Yes. And this is where risk reward, well, not risk reward comes in. Forget risk reward. Risk reward's a bad thing. This is where cutting your losses and letting your winners run comes in. What you're going to get is not down to you. What you lose is up to you. The only thing you can control when you're scalping is how much you lose. Yeah, you can cut your positions anytime you like. It's not cutting your winners is what makes you the money, and scaling into your winners, adding to your winners. And this is what everybody struggles with, adding to your winners. And this is what people don't realize. This is how you make money scalping, not by getting it right, by getting it right with size. Yeah, so I've got 2 positions to make up for now this morning, haven't I? 0.5% I've got to get back. If I'm going to get 0.5% back this morning, I've got a 0.2 risk there. So that would be a 0.4. So down here, all the way down here is about a 0.6. So if it gets all the way down to here, I'm just going to make a tiny little bit of money, aren't I? Unless I add and add, in which case I get to there and I can get out and make a load of money. But if I just let this one run, it's got to get all the way down there to get my money back, pretty much. So I need to do something about it. I've got to add more size. If I'm right, and it looks like I'm right, that is what's going to confirm that I'm right. So what I want to be doing is adding size here. And adding size, ideally on the gap fill as well. And if I'm wrong, I've then got to get out without taking a big loss. That's, this is what it is, isn't it? This is the game. This is the game we play. It's all about managing the risk. And cutting your losers. Again here, look at what we've just done here. Just about put in a lower high. We've made a lower low, but we're pulling back inside. Yeah, it's not very bearish, is it? We need some conviction from the bears to show me that we're right here. Yeah, this should break. This should break considerably faster than it is at the moment, which is what's making me think today we're just going to whip. Unless I see some signs that we have actually got somebody in control today. If you've got no one in control, you're just going to go sideways. It's a range, isn't it? It's like when you've got a strong currency against a strong currency. What happens? It goes sideways. Because no one can win. At the moment, if we've got nobody really wanting to sell, no one really wanting to buy, all that's going to happen is the algorithm's going to take over and make the banks a load of money. In which case, I want to be out here. I don't want to be out here. What's the point in taking another 0.2 loss? If this thing doesn't break, I'm wrong. Get out here with a much, much smaller loss. Anyway, scalping. That's scalping. Right, so the pounds, that was pretty sure where I was before I got distracted. Yeah, don't know, pounds. Your guess is as good as mine on the pound at the minute. We're waiting for the rate announcement. Until we get the rate announcement, I haven't got a clue where we're going. So I suspect down, but I don't know. So I've got a short bias on the pound just because I live here. It's much easier when you live in a country and you know more because it's being bombarded on the telly every day about how bad everything's going, how bad our government is, how bad everything is. Everything is bad for the currency. Everything's not going well. So unless they come out and say something to shake this up, this is coming down. They may do, I don't know. But everything at the minute, we're waiting till Thursday. So till tomorrow, sideways. And as you can see, the market's not really interested at the moment. Quite rightly so, because why would you put a 20 billion position long for your hedge fund when you haven't got a clue if you're going to be right or wrong? You need to wait for some fundamental reason to do something, and the minute we haven't got it. New Zealand's, obviously we've got this lovely big strong move happening on New Zealand dollar CAD at the minute, and all the New Zealand pairs. So every New Zealand pair is bullish at present. Obviously your bull runs come to an end. So at the minute we've just popped our head up above the parapet. in the same way as we did back there. This is a much stronger move than the previous bull run that we had on New Zealand dollar CAD. So there's a good chance that this might actually do something like that. Again, all going to be dependent on what happens with the Canadian dollar. The Canadian dollar is the bigger, badder currency. These are both sort of commodity-based pairs. So they're both driven kind of by the same thing. But long term at the minute, you've obviously got to look at this and go, right, well, it's business as usual. We should really be looking for shorts up here at some point soon. And we're getting to the point now, obviously, where we should start looking for a turnaround. But we're not getting any real bearish movement, no market structure shifting to the downside with any considerable force at the moment. So that was the range break yesterday, that area that I highlighted there. That's where I said, you know, that could be where we start coming back down and then we start looking for those short moves. It didn't happen. We got another push up. Again, positive news on New Zealand. It was kind of mixed, but that was significantly positive. If you look at it, no forecast 0.5%, 1.3. That's a big shift. That is a very, that's basically not moved. Weren't forecasting it to move by 0.1%. That did move positively. So it's all much more positive for New Zealand than it is for negative. That's why we've had this continuation push. And obviously Aussie New Zealand has come down a little bit more as well. So I'm just going to add one, selling one more short. So yeah, New Zealand dollar CAD, like it as a short, but it's at the moment it's just not showing any signs of weakness on the New Zealand dollar's part. We're not also getting that massive Canadian dollar strength either, are we? So again, FOMC, we need to wait for this to get out of the way, and then we will see some movement starting in the other currencies. So all on hold, but I like them all as shorts. I'm just waiting really to see what happens. But you look at where we are now in that move. It's a nice flush on DAX. See if we can hold that. So I'm just talking to myself. I'm looking on the other monitor, talking to you as if you can see what I'm talking about. So we've got a nice flush out the lows. So want this candle, we've got 16 seconds. Want this to remain bearish and close below that level. That is our now control candle. So we can touch, come up here, play around as much as you like. Don't want to break above that level. Want to make sure that this now holds, starts to continue to move to the downside. If not, actually there's no liquidity there. That's the end of day. So yeah, I mean, this to me, this is a load of limit buys off of that low. I don't know why they're limit buying that low. This is really where the limits are going to be. Think orders, yeah. If you had heat map software on futures market at the moment, what you would see is a big block here and a big block here of limit orders. The market is attracted to limit orders. It's the fuel that powers the market. That's where the limit orders are. I was going to say there's probably some limits triggered there, but I can't see why anybody would have a limit order there. It's like 20 minutes before market close. No one's going to put a limit order on that low. Some people might have done, but I mean, it's not. I don't think it's enough to power a move back up. So looking good. We'll monitor that and see. So yeah, New Zealand dollar Swiss. Sorry, I still like this to the downside. Measured move. We're getting close to where we will potentially start that next leg down on this one. So I like it for shorts, New Zealand dollar Swiss. But again, I want to see some extensions to the upside fail. We're just not you know, there's at the moment, there's no reason to go short. One of these is going to be the end. That could be it. We could get that reverse alert on the hourly today. It retests and it's gone. Yeah. That could be it. I don't know. One of them is going to be it, isn't it? Obviously, this is going to come to an end at some point. But at the minute, it's not showing any signs of weakness. I need to see that weakness start, and then I'll look to start getting in on it. New Zealand dollar yen, no idea. New Zealand dollar US dollar shorts. Waiting for US dollar strength. Again, FOMC. So with these, you know, if you want to get into something, today is the day to do it. If you want to get into some US dollar speculative positions, you want to start building them now. So, you know, start getting in short. You can take a short on this now. It's just retesting in the minute, and that propulsion gap didn't hold very well, did it? So yeah, you could take a short there, scale into another little short up there if we get up there. If we push down to there, look to add on a break below there, and get yourself a position ready ahead of FOMC. Get it at break-even average. If it flies, you're going to make a load of money. Look at what I did last month. I had that one day, didn't I, where I made a 10% trade. Trying to get yourself positioned ahead of FOMC, ready for that move is key. I just missed my entry. I was going to take another one there, but I didn't. So I'm going to wait for, see if we can get a pullback. But see the difference now, yeah? Yeah, I'm almost there, aren't I? Yeah, because I've added to that position, I've now got twice the speed of making money. And, you know, we've only got to get down to here, really, to break even. Whereas if I hadn't added that additional position, I've got to get all the way down here, pretty much, to break even. Adding. When you write, and you play, my plan is that. Yeah, when you write, add. Make the most of the move. Conviction, and obviously holding, which is the hard bit. New Zealand dollar, US dollar. So yeah, shorts on this one. Again, we're flagging. We've got a weak US dollar at the minute, temporarily for a couple of weeks. We've got this strong New Zealand dollar push. That's all going to start coming to a head. Yesterday, we took out that high and pulled back off of it very substantially, didn't we? We're just retracing that move now. We had a big bearish move start there as well. So we can see the sellers starting to step in, and people are getting ready for a potential US dollar move. So I like this as a short. But again, if you want to get into this, and another way you can play FOMC, yeah, when you're talking about news trading, if you've got a conviction on US dollar strengthening, pending orders underneath recent lows. So let's say we're like 20 minutes, half an hour ahead of FOMC where we are now. I would be having a sell order sitting underneath these lows. I'd be having an additional order sitting here like this. If we're going to get an FOMC, as we quite often see, 150 ADR, even 200 ADR, depending on what happens in the FOMC, I'm getting in when the move starts. I'm adding as the move continues. Maximize that move, and then you get out somewhere when you think I can't hold it anymore. For me, that trade that I had on the, I think it was a DAX, wasn't it? I can't remember what it was, but it's like, okay, I can't take it anymore. 10% is 10%. I'm banking it, and it went further. I got out here. It went down to here, didn't it? I was like, look at what I could have won, but you don't worry about it. You're never going to get the whole move. If you've got the whole move, you just can't get it, can you? You just can't get the whole move. It doesn't work that way. So yeah, New Zealand dollar, US dollar, like it shorts. All the US dollars, as I say, we've had this few weeks since sort of early mid-October, where we've just had the US dollar just slightly weakening into FOMC, head of FOMC. We can see we've just put in new structure, just looks like it's starting to creep in. So looking for longs. I've got one long position on this at the moment. And yeah, looking for that weakness to now start to turn into strength. And obviously US dollar yen, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen with that one? But yeah, US dollar Swiss, US dollar CAD, like them both long. I've got a little start position on this one. Hopefully this will just play out. In fact, I'm going to stick a TP up there. What's that going to be? 1 and a bit percent. Yeah, if it hits it, it hits it. Brilliant. If it doesn't, it goes the right way. Fantastic. If it comes back against me for any reason, I'll deal with it. But you know, anything negative on that will probably be undone on non-farm payroll on Friday. So if we do get any negative reaction to FOMC, I suspect either the PMIs or non-farm will undo that move, unless the Fed comes out and says something ridiculous. You know, I don't know. Bullish. Got new lows on the DAX. God, if only I hadn't bothered to take those opening range breakouts this morning. Never mind. Okay, so I'm going to put one TP at the lows and the second TP on the gap fill. I'm just going to leave the two positions running. So what's those prices? I just want to set this up on the funded. It's 132.85. 5. That's miles up, isn't it? 85. And bill is 61. Actually, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go for a runner on this one. Previous day's low. Reason being, we're within an ADR. If we're going to continue this sell-off ahead of FOMC, if this is the market flushing ahead of FOMC, I think we've got a good chance of getting a decent sized move out of it in New York. So what was that? 1625 on the DAX. So I mean that's only 1800. Look. So if we can get a decent move down, and if we were to kind of accumulate somewhere around here ahead of New York, New York's only got to do that. It's well within an ADR. And that low there is 150. So I think that's probably within reach if it's going to do it, if it's going to flush and continue. So we'll hold it and see. Certainly looking like it at the moment. Right, that's all I've got for you this morning. Hopefully on the DAX with me. There you go. There's my. So basically, I can close this out now and completely undo that move. In fact, I've got more than that. Look, reports slightly different figures on close to open. The Trade Manager Dash, because it's working off of your P&L, and they're ever so slightly different, the percentages, because it's obviously open, takes into account your drawdown, whereas that doesn't take it into account your drawdown. So it's ever so slightly different. We'll let that run. We're not close, not too far away from TP. I'm going to monitor this manually. What I would ordinarily do, and I will do this on the funded account, because the funded account is, I say real money, proper, what I class as proper money. I'm trading a 50k account, so it's a bit more impactful when it does that. But I'll move to break even on the funded account there, But on this account, I'm going to leave this open in case we come back up and retest the opening range low here, which will be a 50% retracement. What I don't want to do is stop out on a 50% retracement only for the next leg down to start. So I'm happy to take a little bit of drawdown on this account. It's a little bit smaller. I say a lot smaller. It's 20% of the size. But hopefully what we'll do is just get like a few bar accumulation and then drop. But yeah, that's it for today. So I haven't got a lot of exposure on at the moment. Aussie New Zealand, there's nothing I can do about that. I'm in it and I need to stay in it until I can deal with it. But we have had the bounce off the bottom. So that was a lovely run of yesterday's low. We've pushed up nicely. So hopefully this is the start of some kind of retracement on this one. And we can get a decent move to the upside going. US dollar CAD is the only position I've got on, which is kind of a little bit speculative ahead of FOMC. Everything else, I've just had no signals to get into anything at the moment, so I'm just waiting for the EA to trigger some orders, but nothing at the minute. Can't get into anything. We haven't had enough move. But there are opportunities out there if you want to start positions on the 4 hours. Okay, I'm not here this evening. Normally I would be around for FOMC, but Wednesdays, it depends which Wednesday it falls on with FOMC for me. But I have a class I go to on Wednesdays, and I'll oh, it's bearish engulfing on M15. That's not good. So we'll see if this reversal alert. So we've got the reversal alert here. See if this holds. So we're looking for a retest, break back above there, and hopefully off from there. But yeah, so I won't be around for FOMC. But if you are trading it, good luck. As I say, don't try and get a position on ahead of FOMC if you can, if you want to trade it. But yeah, use a stop. Obviously, if you're going to try and use trade it, I've got my US dollar CAD long on. I might have a go on pound US dollar as a kind of little speculative trade. So I'll see where we end up today. But for me, this one is that bias. Yeah, so I'm short pound, I'm long US dollar. With the rate announcement on the pound coming tomorrow, as you can see, the pound is kind of rolling a little bit already. But I get the feeling we're going to see a drop on the pound tomorrow. So I think taking a short on this ahead of FOMC, you could well get a position started, which will kind of do something like that. And then you might get that push on the pound tomorrow, push down on the pound tomorrow when we get the rates. So there is a possibility of having a double ADR day, which would be a lovely short. Obviously, no idea. FOMC could take it that way, couldn't it? We don't know what's going to happen. So, but if we are hovering around here, I might try one short under there with a stop maybe above yesterday's high, and to see if we can get one started short. But I'll post that in the group. That's a trade that I'll take on the funded account, but I might put it on here as well, just so we can see how it plays out. But I like the idea of a short on the pound from where we are at the moment up here on pound US. So we got this. This is obviously mistrust screwing up our economy, Bailey bailing us out of our economy. We never managed to get back above that high. So I just think this is it. This is where we should be starting next leg down on this one. So, and look how far we've got to go. We were heading as well. This is what I said about this one. So I say I'm going and then I never go, do I? Heading for parity. This level, this one level, is where I think we're going to test this at some point. I don't know when. I was anticipating a pullback and a retest of it before Christmas, but we don't seem to be, at the moment, certainly we're not close enough, are we? But if we can get a decent FOMC move on the US dollar and we get a decent drop on the pound, and we can get ourselves back down towards these levels, I think we've got a decent run down to there. If you imagine if you could hold a position down to there. We've got to go back. Oh, I haven't got it, have I? No. Charts don't go back far enough to see when we were down there last. Don't even know when it was. But yeah, that's where I think we're going to get to at some point. So move's got to start sometime. And obviously, the other thing you have to bear in mind as well, which also goes for a bullish US dollar move, is where we are with the indices. Yeah, so the dollar is opposite to US indices. At the moment, we've got a weak US dollar, haven't we? Why? Look at what's happened with all the indices. Yeah, so we've got strong indices. Strong indices equals weak US dollar. We're expecting next leg down to start indices, which will mean strong US dollar. Strong US dollar equals negative on the pound US dollar. So it's all fundamentally and technically lining up for the next leg to start on the indices, which will boost the US dollar up. So everything is kind of getting ready. We just need a catalyst, don't we? And that's what we've got this evening, potentially a very big catalyst. And also we've got non-farm, don't forget. If they're undecided about what the Fed says here, and we get we're not too sure, that could be when they start their move. And they quite often will, obviously, clear the decks ahead of non-farm payroll. Non-farm payroll is where the real move starts, isn't it? We see it over and over again. So big week. Anyway, I'll let you decide what you want to do on that. But I'll be watching the pound US dollar, and I might get a little speculative short on just a 0.5% risk, just to see if I can get a position started. And if I can get it started, I'll add when I get home from my class, depending on obviously what's happened. Okay, have a good one. I will be out. I'll be out this evening. I'll be back tomorrow morning, 7:50, same time. Might be a bit late, because I'm normally late on Thursday mornings. But we'll have a look at the fallout of FOMC. I will be in a Telegram group all day, and I'll be in the Telegram group this evening when I get back. So I get back at 7:30. So I'll be back. I'll be back when this has all happened, and we'll see what's going on. Wait, that's it. I feel like something is missing. Oil. Is that what you meant? I haven't covered oil. Is that what you meant? Or is there something else I'm missing? Anyway, I'll cover oil quickly. Yes. Oh, nice symmetrical triangle formation on oil. I should really use my symmetrical triangle indicator, shouldn't I, when I see these? But you know, let's just draw it manually. Yeah, so oil yesterday we had a bull day. Didn't quite get the bullish engulfing, but we put in a new higher low and a higher high, and we finished strong. We've gapped up. We've gapped up, and we're just filling the gap by the looks of things. So yeah, looking good for longs. We were looking at oil yesterday for longs. So the new structure, we're putting the high, the lower high. We're looking for the higher high. Yeah, and we're looking for 100 to 110 a barrel by Christmas, which is up there somewhere. So yeah, it's looking good. If you did get in on longs on this, I was really tempted to take a long. I was going to get a little position started on my funded account. The trouble with my funded account is I like to draw the money out regularly. And if I have open positions, I can't. And I kind of want to get a swing going on oil, but I'm just too scared because oil's just too dangerous. I just don't want to get into a position on it and get, it can make or ruin your month, I think, this thing. Yeah, so I like the look of this as a long. If you want to play a breakout on it, in fact, you've got 2 levels there. So today, right now, we're pulling back nicely to fill this gap. If we get bullish price action off of that gap, so drop down to M5. Next reverse alert's there anyway, isn't it, at the moment? So by the time you get down to here, if we too come down and fill this gap, your reverse alert is going to be here. Or there, somewhere around there anyway. So you can take a reverse alert on M5, add on a break of that high, and then obviously you got a nice big run if you want to take it up to ADR, if we can get up there today. Indices are selling off. The S&P 500 is just testing new lows of the day. The DAX is just approaching new lows of the day as well. I'll have a look at those in a sec quickly. But yeah, so like it, if we can get down to here and get that little gap fill done, I think there's a good entry there for a long. But yeah, it's looking good. So we have just broken out of it, not very convincingly this morning though, but obviously we've been in this big old bear run, and we were looking for this to be the new peak formation low because we broke that high considerably. Easy break. We found support on a 50, 61.8 retracement, and we're just starting that next leg to take out that high and then take out that high. And by the time we take out that high, we'll probably be pretty much near Christmas, and that's where we're looking for our 100 to 110 target. So it looks good. So S&P, I was just saying about the S&P, just watching it on my other monitor. S&P just made new lows on the session. The NASDAQ is attempting new lows as well. Double bottomed. DAX, we've gone into an accumulation. So if you want to get in short on the DAX, take a break of the low. Might add one actually. The reason for this ad here is to just see if I can get a runner on. But obviously we've got room down to there, and I'll see what I've got down there. I notoriously take money off all the time. I take it off too soon. But a break of that low would mean 2 things. First of all, the NASDAQ makes new lows, in which case there's a good chance that we'll flush down to yesterday's low. That will drag the DAX down. S&P has just made a new low. Okay, so if that is going to hold and we break through that, we should flush down to yesterday's low. DAX will get dragged along with that. So entering another position there, as the others get dragged down, we'll flush down towards those lows. If that is going to hold on the US indices, we'll start a pullback into this propulsion gap, hopefully where the sellers will start to step in somewhere around there and push down for another leg. M15, you've got the gap, you haven't got it on M5, so it's there. So somewhere in there, I would expect to see the sellers stepping in. So a little bit of a profit take, ready for next leg. And that profit take will be caused possibly by a failed double bottom on the US indices. We'll see. Lots of nasty targets up here as well. There's an argument for an upside on the US indices, isn't there? We'll see. So we're holding at the moment in an accumulation, and I'm just going to add one more little one. Let me just put that on the funded as well. So sell stop under the last low. We'll see if we can hold that. Right, I'm off. It's 9:30. Anything you need, come in the Telegram group. I'll be in there all day. I'm not going to get into anything new, I don't think, today, as I say, because obviously it's FOMC, but I might try and start a position on pound US dollar. I'll let you know what I'm going to do on that. I'll post it a bit later on, but I want to see where this is. If this, what I want to see on it is an obvious opportunity for a break. So if we are sitting like this, doesn't look as attractive. If we are sitting up here, I like that. What I want to do is, I don't want to be whipsawed. I want a big, strong enough move to gather me in on its way to its big, strong destination, wherever it's going. I don't want to take something like that, because you can get spread out very easily and stopped out very fast. So I want some distance between a decent low or high. You know, ideal for me would be that. And if you want to, you can bracket it then, can't you? Whichever way it goes, assuming you don't get whipsawed like we did this morning, you'll have a big, strong, profitable move on your hands. But we'll see. Anyway, I'll leave it there. Anything you need, let me know. I'll put the results of this in the group when it's finished, this trade. I'll see how it goes. I'm trying to hold it, basically, because I think we've got a decent chance of a move down after that flush. So I'm trying desperately to hold on to this one as a short. It's break even on the funded account, so I am actually break even there on the funded account. This one I haven't put the break even in place. I'm going to watch and monitor and just look for potentially a 50% retracement. That's the reason, because what I don't want to do is get stopped out on a 50% retracement into the 2050 zone for next leg. I'd rather just watch this whittle away. It's only a small account, so I'm not really bothered, but I am bothered in the funded, like I said. So that's why I've got to break even. Right, guys, I'll see you tomorrow morning. Anything you need, come in the Telegram group. Otherwise, have a good day. Enjoy FOMC. Hopefully you can make loads of money out of it. We'll find out tomorrow morning. Have a good one.